She's up there with rebounds, up there with steals. And she'll take the first three-pointer and knock it down and treat the fans to that. 3 and some change left to play here in the first quarter. CaitlinClark pulls it back, knocks it down. Her third 3 of the quarter. Knee injury.
And that's the way to push the ball in transition.
Oh, they're not gonna waste much time. CaitlinClark has her second three-pointer.
Remember when you first fell in love with basketball? That spark, that excitement. CaitlinClark just brought that feeling back for thousands of fans. Here's how she's reigniting passion for the WNBA. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. Recall that I mentioned Clark was gonna have a fight. She didn't merely battle though, she exerted dominance. Consider this. How frequently does a rookie start smashing records held by all-time greats? For that's just what Clark did that evening. Know what's absurd? It wasn't just a strong game for Clark. Her style of play begs the question of whether you're witnessing a novice or an accomplished professional. I referred to an exhibition that rendered even the most ardent WNBA supporters dumbfounded. Let's begin with an astounding thought. Clark just accomplished something that not even the legendary Diana Taurasi could match. Yes, you did indeed hear that. In a single WNBA season, she broke the record for the most double-doubles by a guard. That alone is legendary status. It's not merely impressive. Hold on, things get better. Clark didn't just stop at one record to smash. No, she made the bold decision to go all in and set a rookie record for her first triple-double. How uncommon is that in the WNBA, do you know? It resembles seeing a unicorn while playing hoops. A triple-double is something that most players never achieve in their entire career, but Clark is accomplishing it in her first campaign. You may be thinking, well, but a lot of players get double-doubles at this point. Now, here's the situation. Clark has a unique style of double-doubles. Not only is she inflating her stats, with abandon, this girl is aggressively scoring goals and sending out assists. She's not simply putting up stats, she's actually having an effect on the game. Envision yourself sharing the court with Clark. She can shoot threes like it's practice in a split second. The next you'd think she had eyes in the back of her head because of how precisely she was threading the needle. That is the type of player that we are discussing about. You know what's even more absurd though? Not only did Clark smash records held by active players, she pursued the myths. Do you recall Tamika Catchings, the player who everyone believed would never let go of her records? The Fever icon. The record for the most points scored by a rookie in the history of the Indiana Fever franchise was just surpassed by Clark. Consider that for a moment. Not only is Clark performing admirably for a rookie, she's becoming a franchise legend already because of how brilliantly she's playing throughout her debut season. This is the kind of influence that is being discussed. Do you really believe that Clark's amazing night is the complete tale? Hold on, because this isn't just about one amazing rookie in this game. What happens in a thrilling finish when you put a record-breaking phenom and an experienced scorer together? You might be surprised by the response, which has everyone talking about the WNBA's newest power couple. For a moment, let's speak about Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell was discreetly brewing up a storm of her own while everyone else was preoccupied with Clark's historic performance. We are discussing an astounding 36-point display. That right there is elite level scoring, so it's not just nice.
It's going to be a really fast-paced game.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the Fever get the ball up the floor in like 2 seconds.
How about Alyssa Thomas, the former Baylor Bear? Three-pointer made. Every field goal made, it's been three, and Clark gets her first field goal of the afternoon.
For Coach Sides and this team.
Clark comes back and answers.
I saw the adjustment just now.
That night, picture yourself on the court. Clark is one person who is shattering records left and right. Mitchell, on the other hand, is dripping buckets of water like it's no big deal. With these two Fever players hammering down baskets from every direction, the Dallas Wings must have felt like they were caught in a cyclone. The truth is that this game wasn't a landslide, not at all. Up to the last buzzer, people were glued to their seats as the fight was back and forth. It was only in the final 2.5 minutes when the Fever took the lead. That was the closest it got. It's the kind of game that makes you realize why you initially fell in love with basketball. What's truly impressive, you ask? How Mitchell and Clark collaborated. It was more than just the individual acts. These two were able to precisely enhance one another's games. The other stepped up when the first was covered. They adjusted when the defense changed. It resembled attending a master class on collaboration. Let's dissect it for a moment. With 12 assists, 4 rebounds, and 28 points in the game, Clark had a great night. Even as a rookie, most seasoned players would be happy of that stat line. And Mitchell's 36 points? That is the kind of scoring production that has the power to turn a game around. Clark and Mitchell scored 64 points apiece. That's not just remarkable, it's revolutionary. It's the kind of ensemble performance that catches you off guard. They seem to be saying, hey, we're not here to compete alone. Our goal is to rule.
It just feels like our chemistry's better. It just feels like everything flows a little bit better. It just like feels better. I think as a basketball player, like it's something you can feel when you're out there.
For me, I'm always on the next shot, whatever that is. Next play mentality, and I think my number was called in that transition play.
You know, it's cool. Obviously, there's been a lot of really good players that put on this jersey, and, you know, to be up there with some of them, it's special.
However, it went beyond the points. It concerned how they obtained them. Clark was able to thread passes through impassable spaces, creating easy basket opportunities for her teammates. Mitchell was making shots out of thin air, finding space when there didn't seem to be any. It was similar to witnessing the seamless fusion of two distinct basketball styles, and not to mention, they accomplished this against the formidable Dallas Wings squad. This was no cakewalk victory over a team at the bottom of the league. The Wings challenged the Fever to a game of catch-up. However, the combination of Mitchell and Clark was ultimately too much to manage. What makes this so thrilling, you ask? It's not a one-time event. There are indications that Clark and Mitchell could develop into one of the WNBA's most formidable teams. They're redefining collaboration in the league. It's as though we are witnessing the instantaneous birth of something extraordinary. While Clark is making waves, have you also noticed the overall changes in the women's sports landscape?
Clark from way downtown parries it.
Well, the last time she was here, she had 19 assists, which broke a WNBA record. Now, this is a lefty using that left hand, and yeah, that's going to be a highlight reel. Which right now the Wings are dominating in free throws.
Clark knocks down her second three of the ball game.
If you have shooters on the weak side.
Oh, great play, and it ends up in CaitlinClark getting her 19th point.
She seems to be shattering barriers as well as records, and some well-known basketball players are paying attention. You won't believe what they have to say about her influence on the sport's future. Let's take a moment to discuss Nancy Lieberman. She is a legendary basketball player in her own right, not just any player. Furthermore, Lieberman doesn't hold back while discussing Clark. Clark's influence on the game is described by her as generational. That is equivalent to stating Clark is completely altering the game, not just heaping high praise. The problem is that it goes beyond Clark's performance on the court. It's about her contributions to women's athletics in general. Remember how after Tiger Woods made his debut, golf became popular and everyone wanted to play? It's possible that Clark is using a similar approach to women's basketball. Consider it. People pay attention to Clark's music. They purchase tickets. They exhibit a level of excitement over women's basketball that is unprecedented. Do you understand what that implies? More spectators means more money for the sport in the end. Imagine that in a few years, female basketball players will receive salaries comparable to those of their male counterparts. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? But Clark has the ability to affect that kind of change. She is altering the game rather than merely participating in it. Not only Lieberman is observing this, though, a growing number of individuals are beginning to view Clark as a game-changing figure in women's sports. It appears as though she is elevating the WNBA's profile all by herself. What makes this so thrilling, you ask? There is more to Clark's path than her own accomplishments. She may be smashing records all over the place, but it goes deeper than that. She's improving the game as a whole. Clark's performances not only help the Fever win games, but they also bring in supporters for women's basketball. It resembles seeing a snowball effect happen in real time. A larger audience tunes in to witness Clark play a fantastic game. More spectators indicate a greater interest in the game. Increased investment equates to higher interest rates. And more financial outlay, that might completely alter things. The truly bizarre thing is that Clark is a beginner at all of this. What kind of person do you think she'll be in a few years? What will she do when she reaches her peak if she's already altering the game? There's a proverb in athletics that goes, "A rising tide lifts all boats." Clark, though, is more than just a rising tide. A tidal wave is she, and she's elevating women's sports in general, not just her team or the WNBA. Imagine young girls enjoying Clark's play. They're witnessing more than simply a superb basketball player. They are perceiving opportunities. They envision a time where women's sports are welcomed rather than merely tolerated, where similar to their male counterparts, female athletes are well-known household names. The true strength of Clark's work lies in that. She's engaged in more than simply hoops. A whole new generation of athletes is being inspired by her. She's demonstrating possibilities to them. And that too, that's how you permanently alter a sport.